Haro bikes. Who out there remembers Haro bikes? Back in the 90s, they had a pretty cool BMX line. In addition to, they did have some mountain bikes I remember working on in the 90s as well. And those particular bikes, they were kind of chunky, but there was a big rebrand, refresh of Haro of late in the last couple of years of trying to bring that brand back to life. And I did see them at the local, or not local, but local to me in Las Vegas when I'm out there. There's a CABDA bike show, which they had their show there. And Haro was one of the participants of bike brands that were still hanging out. And they did have a pretty cool line considering as a bike brand of yesteryear and being rebranded forward. Well, unfortunately, right after the show, which was back in March, they've had some troublesome times. And as well, a lot of us have had troublesome times. Bike manufacturers have been hit pretty hard of the change of the administration putting on.
Brought to you by Medem Bikes, where you can find bicycles that won't break the bank. Great brands like Univega and Vin Diesel, but give you a good quality, safe ride to be able to do those extended rides and get into cycling. You'll find a link below with added savings to extend that adventure starting now.
Within the Brain article here, it is some pretty good insights of the more newer CEO, Rasmussen, but he's been a part of Haro for a couple of years now. He's trying to get ahead of some bad rumorville coming from possibly a couple of shops, maybe some social media posts and so forth. It doesn't direct that here. It just states that they just want to kind of clarify there was some loss of staff in the spring, which pretty much a big disruption, which a lot of shops and a lot of bike industry leaders per se, like Trek, Specialized, Giant, all of them, and different companies globally have been kind of scaling down because just in the general market, then you add this whole disruption of tariffs, which is causing a whole big a mess of our bike industry in the States. Haro also is another company called Masi, which is more of a road bike line. They have like 4 models or 5 models. I don't remember seeing them at the show in CABDA. Mainly it was more focused on Haro. They had a really good show. I talked to the people there. Talking about Haro, I want to bring this up to light a little bit because there's other brands that have been affected recently within the last year or so. GT, Redline, and Diamondback. I believe most of those were owned by Pond Holdings or Pond Bike, if you look it up. Those lines were shelved, basically put away, and those particular sub companies that they built them up to be, they basically let those people go. Again, lost their job positions. And those lines, are they dead? Maybe they'll come back. They're strong names. So I think when the things get better, it might be a rebranding or a relaunch of those particular ones. But that's needless to say, we're in some troublesome times, and it doesn't seem like it's going to end anytime soon. Therefore, those brands may be shelved for a longer period of time. It all depends where the market takes them from there. And the United States market is one of the leading markets of, we just like to buy stuff. There's a lot of sold products here, and that causes a huge disruption when you can't get products in, or the cost of the products get very expensive to run a business either inside the United States or shipping and selling into or selling to the United States. What he talks about, and this is a direct conversation from Brain with the CEO, and they did have a follow-up conversation as well. They did bring in a couple new models, which looked pretty hot at the bike show, and it was pretty excited to see them come out and about. I mean, we were not a Haro dealer back in the day, but when the bikes I did work on were pretty decent and very comparable to the competition, Trek and Specialized and Schwinn even back in the day in the 90s. But
Bicycle Wheel Warehouse in California has an excellent selection of wheels to choose from. They're pre-built, or also you can have them custom built up to various sizes. You can reach out to them directly if you have something unique like the 650 wheel or a different style hub. Therefore, it makes it an excellent bike wheel set company that actually provides good wheel sets without breaking the bank. You will find them being very trusted and true. They really hold up under a lot of different riding conditions and so forth. It takes the standard old school wheel building practices and puts them in a better format. But in any case, this is a wheel set you'll be really love to have. It'll perform for you for a long period of time, and the quality and the attention to detail is superb. You'll find information about this company in the description below, with also my personal coupon code. I hope you find a good wheel set what works for you.
They were really known for their BMX, and there's also some verbiage or rumor mill out there they're getting away from BMX, but actually they are not. They have quite a few. Go reading down the article, they have quite a few SKUs. SKUs are basically how many different items within your library of catalog of stuff that you sell, and they have 250 SKUs just in the BMX category itself, which is pretty robust. And they're trying to just get ahead of this rumor in front of the 600 dealers that they currently have. So it's basically kind of, this article is more of a damage control article in a sense, saying we're still here, they're still bringing in bikes, they're coming, we're still bringing in new models, they're going to be releasing a new e-bike model supposedly here soon as well, introducing the, they don't want to name the model, but it's an e-bike, mountain bike. So with those being said, I mean, a lot of companies like this are having struggles, like pretty much all of them are having struggles. And this kind of pulls the curtain back a little bit, what's directly affecting their day-to-day business. Even though they're anticipating and had like the best foot forward going into the season, they're very excited about it. It really showed that at CABDA. And hopefully, I hope the best for them. Of course, they're going to do replacements of staffing like everybody to have the right people do the right job at the right time. And those who may have gotten let go were maybe older staff that just were not performing or did not see the vision going forward. Needless to say, it sounded like about a third of their staff was reduced. So hopefully that helps them kind of navigate going forward these damage control times that we're in. So, and they do basically bluntly say the tariffs have really disrupted their momentum, their business, and moving forward. And being a United States company and carrying another brand, that makes it really challenging. But when you look at their road bike model, they built up a couple of road bikes or gravel bikes under the Haro brand, but they also have Masi, M-A-S-I or Masi, however you want to say it. And those particular models, there's only 1 out of the 4 or 1 out of the 5 that has stock online. And that kind of shows that I mentioned before that when you start seeing their inventory reducing to zeroing out, like the YT products and so forth that we've mentioned before, it usually shows pretty good cracking. And this is probably where that rumor mill started, that they're having some troubles and possibly going out. Maybe they are, but they're really trying to get ahead of it and saying, no, we're here, and they don't want the actual rumors to actually kill the brand. That has happened before. Like things get leaked, like they're in trouble. Then all of a sudden, it erodes the confidence of bike dealers, erodes the confidence of consumers, erodes a lot of their marketing and going forward. So that is pretty troublesome. And right now, when there's so much going on, you got to be kind of mindful that what is the real story behind it, and what are they releasing, and how in trouble they are in. Because pretty much, honestly, they're all in trouble at some point or another, because it is just almost impossible to predict, to forecast models, from the start of production to when you're going to be released and actually get into your storeroom floor. I hope the best for Haro. They look like a very good brand. If I was actually a shop that was going to bring in models, I would definitely consider them, especially for my specific market here in Colorado. I wouldn't let this.
If you shop on Amazon, I do have a Amazon store, like the latest pick, basically, of products that are on sale, that kind of thing, and various other parts and tools and so forth that I suggest using within those particular categories. Check that out. Go through, and even if you don't buy the product that I suggest and you find something else that fits your needs better, or your grocery list, or whatever you end up buying, I get a little kick. So that's a good opportunity for you to get something, and I get something that helps support me doing what I'm doing.
Stain the line, because they're all being stained to this point. Hopefully they're going to recover from this leaked information, if it's even leaked or just made up information about them being in trouble. But then again, they're just trying to address it and so forth. But feel free to, I have the link below in the description, read up on it. The most of their bikes are made in Taiwan and Vietnam, which could be directly affected by who exactly is building them. Is it Merida, or is it Giant, or is it another company in Taiwan? And Vietnam has their own subset of different companies, and who really knows where the breadcrumbs go there. But as we've seen in the news, currently Giant's been in some hot water by labor conditions, and also the tariffs of steel and aluminum is, up in the air still. Haven't really heard anything that's going to be affected immediately on that, but it just adds more heartburn and heartache for a lot of these companies just to function and more or less try to navigate a slowing economy that we're experiencing right now. And directly affected by, they saw more sales, which I found interesting in this article, that frames are selling better than full bikes. And I can definitely mirror that in the used market what I'm experiencing right now, because I'm selling parts and frames a lot more consistently than full bikes. Full bikes, the turns on those have been between 60 to 90 to 120 days. And for bike parts and so forth, it's usually 30 to 60 days. So usually get your money back, or basically your cash flow back, so you can keep continuing. So looking at this as a bike line, seeing frames moving a little bit faster and just not bikes are more just sitting there. Although they did see earlier in the spring a big, kind of a smaller rush of purchases, and they were trying to figure out if it's people trying to get ahead of it before the costs go up on a lot of products, or they're just uncomfortable doing bigger ticket purchases because of the state, either personal or locally or nationally, which I kind of think it's more of the latter. I think a lot of people are kind of holding back on spending, on traveling. There's a lot of indicators out there showing this, and a lot of people are worried about their jobs. And case in point, same here. It's affecting or could affect, and we're seeing it, and I've seen it through my wife's work and what they do, and it's everywhere. So with all those nervous indicators and also the cost of things going up, a lot of people are not going to be buying those bigger ticket items unless they already have the cash flow or can justify it to themselves. So looking at that, hopefully Haro has a little bit better outcome after releasing this, and get it a little more, I would say, community build, talk to their dealers, get them to, steady those tensions, nervousness, and that kind of thing. And hopefully they can move forward and highlight their newer featured bikes and so forth. I really enjoy smaller companies because they kind of listen to more of the market and what people are buying, and don't get too crazy with all their stuff because they're trying to do everything for everyone. So therefore, the smaller companies are really fun to work with and see grow, like Kona and the other ones like Revel is a really neat one from Colorado, and also Steiner Frameworks in California is a very intriguing, kind of more of the shining light of the U.S. manufacturing bike frames right now. But other than that, that's what we're sitting with the Haro experience, and hopefully get some insights on what that is, and you can even remember Haro. So in any case, thanks for listening to my jibber jabber about the Haro bikes. But yeah, jump in the comments if you heard of Haro, ridden a Haro, any of that kind of thing. Put it in the comments below.
Thanks for watching the latest installment of the top news of As the Wheel Turns, So Do Days of Rides opinion piece. Hopefully you got some insights of what a perspective of a bike shop is with the current events that are going on around them. Yeah, it's still a little muddy waters, but week in and week out, we try to do our best and navigate that for our customers and community. Well, in any case, thanks for hanging out with me in the garage. If it's nice in your neck of the woods, please go for a ride. Until next time, have a wonderful day.